right. Welcome back to the deep dive. You know we like to go deep on this show.
That's right, into the weeds.
That is right.
Yeah.
And today we're diving into a track
Oh, yeah.
that you sent to us.
Uh-huh.
Malthusian Delusions by Canibus.
Canibus, yeah.
And you know, when we got this request, we were really intrigued by it. Because you sent us some notes along with this track.
Yes.
And some analysis that you'd done on it.
Right.
And we were like, wow, this is a really fascinating take on this song.
It's a layered track.
It is a layered track. So we had to bring in an expert to help us unpack this.
Hello.
And maybe we can come to some conclusions about it. Maybe not.
Who knows?
But before we get into your analysis and some of the deeper themes of the song,
Okay.
I want to set the scene a little bit
Okay.
for the listener. So just imagine Miss Big Booty.
Right.
She's there. She's enjoying a luxurious meal.
Nice.
We've got kingfishers on portmanarian dishes.
Fancy?
But
There we go.
the atmosphere is far from peaceful. Canibus then says, brass knuckles looking for a face to smash.
There's the Canibus we know.
So what do you think, what's the vibe he's creating with this kind of jarring contrast?
Well, I think it's really fascinating that he blends this opulence with aggression. And, you know, it's almost like he's saying that even in a world of luxury and excess, there's still that underlying tension,
Right.
the potential for chaos.
It's like just below the surface.
Yeah. And, you know, don't forget, this is all happening while Scotch bonnet pepper burns on the road to Mecca.
All right, right.
You know, so that little detail there adds this whole other dimension,
Yeah.
this spiritual, almost mystical thing.
Right, it's not just material wealth
No,
or physical violence.
it's deeper than that.
There's something deeper.
Uh-huh.
Something about the clash between maybe spirituality and earthly desires.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
Now, your notes I found really interesting because you highlighted how this kind of ties into that whole Malthusian concept.
Right.
Can you unpack that for us a little?
Well, you know, Canibus is playing with this idea of limited resources. And we're not just talking about material resources here,
Right.
but also spiritual resources.
Yeah.
And he seems to be suggesting that there's a struggle for something more than just wealth or power, you know? It's like there's this battle for souls taking place.
Yeah, and this battle is playing out on a cosmic scale.
No,
He's talking
absolutely.
about stargates and moon bases and this future where he's finally understood.
Yeah.
It's like he's transcending the limitations of our current reality.
Absolutely. He's tapping into like a higher level of consciousness.
Yeah.
He's seeing beyond the everyday constraints of time and space.
So that almost sounds like he's talking about the power of art, you know,
It could be.
to break free from those limitations.
Right.
To create a new reality.
I think that's a valid interpretation for sure.
That's where it gets really interesting to me, though, because it's like he's not just talking about escaping this world,
Right.
but he's also like critiquing it.
He's calling people out.
He is. He's calling out a dirty little subversionist.
Right.
He talks about placebo-based control, stealing souls. It's giving conspiracy theory vibes.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Big time.
And it's so timely, you know, like we live in this world that's just saturated with information.
Right.
It's hard to tell what's real, what's not.
It's true. It's not.
Exactly. And Canibus is tapping into that anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling of being manipulated by forces beyond our control.
Right.
He's asking us to question everything.
But he's also like, it's not just external forces he's grappling with.
No.
It's internal. There's a lot of internal struggle here, too.
For sure.
He talks about hollow bones serving as conduits.
Yeah.
This idea of channeling something powerful.
Right.
But also being vulnerable, empty.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about that is that Canibus might be using his own body as a metaphor there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He's saying that true power comes from emptiness,
Wow.
from being a vessel for
Yes.
something greater than yourself.
So I guess that kind of brings us back to that core question.
The big one.
Who is Canibus? And what is he trying to say?
I mean, is he a genius? Is he a madman?
Is he a spiritual seeker?
Yeah. Or maybe all of the above.
I mean, that's the thing. The
Well,
beauty of
yeah.
Canibus is that he defies easy categorization.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's a provocateur. He's a poet.
A philosopher.
Yeah, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Mass Malthusian Delusions probably his most potent and perplexing work.
For sure. I mean, he really pushes us to the edge of our comfort zone, you know, and the way he weaves all these complex ideas with his like mastery of language is just mind-blowing. It's crazy.
It's like every line is a puzzle box.
Yes.
Just waiting to be unlocked.
Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned earlier that this song is like incredibly timely. And I think that's especially true when we start to look at these references to control and manipulation.
Right.
And he says, like, placebo-based controls stealing souls.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's pretty chilling,
It is.
especially in our current climate of misinformation.
Yeah, social engineering.
Absolutely.
All that.
So this idea that our very essence can be manipulated, like our thoughts and desires can be shaped by external forces, it's a theme that runs deep in this song.
Oh, yeah.
Canibus seems to be warning us about the dangers of blindly accepting narratives, whether they come from authority figures,
In the media.
yeah, or even our own ingrained beliefs.
Absolutely.
And it's not just a passive warning.
No, he's calling people out.
He's actively calling these people out. Like he mentions, a dirty little subversionist who's pulling the strings, playing on our fears and desires. It's almost as if he's daring us to look behind the curtain, you know?
To see the man behind the curtain.
See the man behind the curtain,
Yeah.
to question who is really benefiting from these narratives of scarcity and division.
Yeah, and this connects back to the Malthusian concept, right?
Right.
Like, if we believe that resources are inherently limited, that there's just not enough to go around,
Right.
then we're more likely to accept these systems of control as, like, necessary.
Okay.
But Canibus is urging us to challenge that,
To look for alternatives.
to consider alternative ways of being, of relating to each other.
And that challenge is woven into the music as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you think about the production of the song. It has this, like, dark industrial feel.
It does.
It's almost like the soundtrack to a society on the brink of collapse.
Yeah.
And it's mirroring those themes that we've been talking about. Power control, societal breakdown.
For sure.
But then you get those moments of lavish imagery.
Yeah, the contrast.
Yeah, like the Port Marion dishes and opulent surroundings. It adds another layer of complexity to it.
Right. He's aware of the material comforts,
Yeah.
the pleasures of this world, but he's not seduced by them.
He sees through it.
Yeah, he sees the darkness lurking beneath the surface.
I think that's what makes him so compelling, though. It's that duality.
Right.
That constant push and pull between light and shadow.
Absolutely.
He's not afraid to embrace the contradictions.
Right.
To explore the full spectrum of human experience.
Yes.
You know, from the sublime to the grotesque.
And he does it all with such lyrical prowess.
Right.
I mean, do you remember that line about, like, the charisma engraved on your face, on your mask, on your ass?
It's a very jarring image.
It is, but it's so thought-provoking.
I have to admit, the first time I heard that line, I was kind of like, okay, where is he going with this?
Right.
But the more I thought about it,
Yeah.
the more I realized how brilliantly it really captures that way. That ideology can just become imprinted on us.
Yeah, it's like a brand.
Like a brand.
Yeah, you know.
So he's using this this religious term, charisma.
Which refers to the core message of Christianity.
Yeah.
But he's applying it to, like, a broader concept, you know?
Right.
Like societal programming.
So he's suggesting that we all wear these masks, these identities that are just shaped by these dominant narratives of our time.
For sure.
So the question he poses then is, are these masks truly who we are?
Yeah, are we looking authentically?
Or are we simply just playing out these roles that have been assigned to us?
Yeah, deep stuff.
It is deep stuff.
And it goes even deeper.
Okay.
When you look at the line, first we must establish a baseline. If you can hear this rhyme, you've already interfered with time.
Oh, wow.
It's heavy.
Okay.
It's like he's acknowledging the listener
Oh, intriguing.
as an active participant in this whole unfolding narrative.
Okay.
Blurring the lines between artist and audience.
Okay, so he's bringing us in.
Yeah, he's saying, by engaging with my art, you're stepping outside of the ordinary flow of time. You're entering a different reality.
I love that. And within that reality, anything is possible.
Exactly.
Which is probably why I think a lot of people find Canibus intimidating
Oh, yeah.
or even confusing.
Uh-huh.
Because he doesn't hold your hand.
No, he's not going to spoon feed you the answers.
He throws these complex ideas at you.
Yeah, and expects you to do the work.
And expects you to do the work.
Heck, it's not easy listening.
It's not easy listening, no. You know, going back to the listener notes,
Right.
they pointed out something really interesting about Canibus's use of violence as metaphor,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? Like, it's not about literal aggression,
Right.
but rather the power of his words
Exactly.
to kind of like cut through.
Yeah.
Right.
He's saying, my rhymes hit hard.
Yeah.
They can challenge your beliefs, shake your foundations.
Make you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about physical harm. It's about disrupting your comfortable worldview.
He's like a verbal warrior.
He is.
Battling for our minds and souls.
Yeah, he's fighting for us.
But, he also has this vulnerability to him as well.
He does.
This willingness to expose his own inner struggles.
Yeah.
Remember the line about, like, hollow bones serving as conduits?
Yes.
It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
That suggests both strength and fragility.
Absolutely.
It's like he's saying, I'm a channel for something greater than myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also human. I'm flawed. I'm searching.
I'm still figuring things out.
Yeah, I'm still figuring things out. And maybe that's the key to understanding Canibus.
I think so.
He's not offering easy answers.
No.
He's asking us these difficult questions. He's not trying to be a guru.
No.
He's inviting us on a journey.
Of self-discovery.
Of self-discovery that can be exhilarating.
Challenging.
Challenging.
And sometimes even terrifying.
And sometimes even a little bit terrifying.
But it's a journey worth taking. And if you want to experience it in all its glory, you gotta check out Malthusian Delusions.
On C Radio.
C Radio on Spotify.
Spotify, yeah.
Or the RIPPERSUNITE YouTube channel.
Yeah, go listen to the track, read the lyrics.
Let it all sink in.
Let it all sink in. And if you're up for the challenge, try to decipher those intricate rhyme schemes.
Those multi-layered metaphors.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Because in those layers, in those wordplay acrobatics,
that's where it's at,
lies the true essence of Canibus's genius.
That's Canibus, baby.
Okay, so we've talked about these big concepts, these unsettling images, but the way Canibus crafts these lines is just as fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's like he's a verbal architect.
Yeah.
Building these elaborate structures out of words and sounds.
And one of the key building blocks is his use of internal rhyme and assonance.
Okay.
Remember the line about, like, placebo-based controls that take your soul, erase what you know?
Yeah, it's haunting.
It is. It's almost hypnotic. The repeated "oh" sounds in placebo, controls, souls, no. Create this sonic echo that just reinforces this idea of being under someone else's influence.
Right.
It's subtle, but it adds a whole other layer of meaning to those lyrics.
It's like he's weaving a spell with his words almost.
Yeah.
Like drawing you deeper and deeper into his world. And then there's lines like, staple your knees, hit the floor, face down, for the force leave you in a fetal position.
Yeah.
It's aggressive, it's visceral, but there's also this incredible rhythmic drive to it.
Yeah, and that's the genius of Canibus. He can shift from these, like, complex philosophical ideas to these raw, almost violent images.
Seamless.
And it all flows together seamlessly.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to push boundaries to make you uncomfortable, and that's part of what makes him so compelling.
You mentioned earlier that the listener pointed out something about Canibus's use of violence.
Right.
As metaphor.
As metaphor, yeah.
Do you think this ties into the wordplay as well?
Definitely. It's not just about the literal meaning of the words, but the way he uses them to create impact. He wants to shake you up.
Make you pay attention.
Make you pay attention. It's like he's saying, wake up, look around. Things are not what they seem.
And he does that by constantly playing with expectations.
Yes.
Subverting familiar tropes.
Right.
Take, for example, the line, the kerygma is engraved on your face.
Sure.
On your mask, on your ass, on your feet, and at the base of your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Good one.
We talked about the religious connotations.
Yeah. Right.
But the way he delivers it is just so unexpected, so in your face.
It's almost blasphemous.
It is.
But that's Canibus for you.
Right.
He's not afraid to challenge sacred cows, to turn everything on its head.
Yeah.
And by doing so, he's forcing us to confront our own assumptions, our own blind spots.
Our own biases.
Our biases, exactly.
He's also incredibly playful with language, even in the midst of all this, these serious themes. Like, I love the line, I got my queen eating kingfishers on Port Marion dishes.
Yeah.
It's so absurd, so over the top. But it also reveals this kind of sense of humor that you might not expect from a rapper who's known for these dense philosophical lyrics.
Like, there's a self-awareness there, a wink to the listener.
Yeah.
It says, yeah, I know this is crazy, but I'm going to have fun with it.
Yeah. And that's what makes Canibus so unique.
Yeah.
I mean, he can be serious.
Playful.
He can be profound.
All of it.
And it all just feels so authentic to his voice.
Yeah.
So after this deep dive, after all this analysis, all this unpacking,
Yeah.
what's the final takeaway? What is Canibus trying to leave us with?
I think he leaves us with a sense of possibility.
Okay.
The possibility of seeing the world differently, of questioning everything, of breaking free from the limitations that we impose on ourselves.
Right.
You know, he's not providing answers,
Right.
but he's giving us the tools to ask better questions.
And he's doing it in a way that is both intellectually stimulating and sonically captivating.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mass Malthusian Delusions is a dense, challenging, and ultimately rewarding listening experience.
It is. It's a testament to the power of language,
Yeah.
you know, to transform, to inspire, to provoke.
Right.
And it's a reminder that hip-hop, at its best, can be just as profound and thought-provoking as any other art form.
Absolutely. So if you haven't already, go listen to this track. Read the lyrics. Let it all sink in.
Let it marinate.
Let it marinate. And you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew.
And that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing.
Keep those ears open, those minds sharp, and keep exploring. That's what this is all about, right?
Absolutely.
The never-ending quest for knowledge, understanding, and maybe even a little wisdom along the way.
Beautifully put. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own deep dive into the world of cannabis. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep listening.